The neon glow of the downtown bar district always promised two things: long waits and short tempers. Tonight, though, the air felt strangely still, almost heavy, like the city itself was holding its breath. I'd been driving these streets for 42 years, first a cabbie, now this app-based nonsense, and I'd seen everything. Drug deals, broken hearts, fortunes made and lost in the span of a 3-mile trip. But you learn to keep your distance. You learn to be the silent witness, the steel cage separating the passenger from their reality, and sometimes their consequences. My name is Arthur, and most nights I'm just a ghost driving a chariot of steel. I pulled up to the curb, the app confirming the pickup location. The name on the screen was simply Sarah. A small, elegant woman stood beneath the flickering street lamp, hugging a thin cardigan around herself despite the late summer warmth. She wasn't swaying, wasn't yelling, wasn't looking down at her phone. She was just waiting, her eyes fixed on something just beyond the frame of my car. It was the kind of stillness that always bothered me, the stillness of a creature that knows it's being hunted. She opened the rear door and slid in with a quiet sigh. There was no usual cheerful hello or the immediate fumbling with a seatbelt. She just leaned forward slightly, and the first thing I noticed was the absolute paralyzing fear in her eyes. It wasn't the startled fear of a jump scare. It was the deep, cold, settled terror that comes from days of running. Her face was pale, drawn tight, but her voice, when it came, was surprisingly steady, pitched low so it barely carried past the front seat. "The address is correct, but please take the long way, the longest way you know." I glanced up at the rearview mirror. I had already confirmed the destination, a quiet residential area about 20 minutes away. "Ma'am, I have to stick to the route the app gives me unless you direct otherwise. It'll cost more," I said, my tone flat, professional. That's what I do. I follow instructions. I calculate fares. I don't ask questions. Tonight, however, the formula was already being disrupted. "I know. I'll double the fare. Just drive, please." "And Arthur," she paused, and I saw her slender hands twist together in her lap, a silent, desperate knot. Can you do me a favor? A very strange one." I sighed internally. This was how it always started. The strange favor, the sudden confession, the moment the boundary between driver and confessor dissolved. "Depends on the favor, ma'am. I don't carry cash. I don't make unauthorized stops. And I don't break the law." She inhaled sharply, a shaky sound that was louder than any word she had spoken so far. She moved her gaze from the back seat window to meet mine in the reflection. Her eyes were deep pools of brown, fringed with long, damp lashes. They pleaded with a naked intensity that made my stomach clench. It was the look of a drowning person grabbing the nearest piece of driftwood, and I was the driftwood. "Can you pretend we're married?" she whispered, the words barely audible over the hum of the engine. I blinked. Pretend we're married. My internal monologue, usually a calm, low thrum, stuttered and died. I was a 70-year-old man with a beer gut and hands spotted like old paper. She was maybe in her late 20s, dressed in a style that screamed expensive but understated. The suggestion was ridiculous, almost comical, yet the weight of panic radiating from her was anything but funny. "Ma'am, I don't understand," I managed, my voice rougher than I intended. "Don't understand, just if anyone asks, or if we see anyone. You're my husband, Robert. We're coming home from a late dinner at a client's place. You're a structural engineer. Say my name is Eleanor, can you remember that? Robert and Eleanor. Structural engineer." The details spilled out in a rush, a carefully constructed lie ready to be deployed. It wasn't a spontaneous idea, it was a contingency plan. My suspicion immediately flared. Was this some kind of ridiculous prank? An escape room setup? A viral video stunt? "Ma'am, I'm an independent contractor. I can't participate in whatever this is." I reached for my phone, ready to cancel the ride and call it a night. This wasn't worth the trouble. Please, Arthur." She used my name again, emphasizing it, grounding the conversation, pulling me back from the brink of dismissal. "It's life and death. I swear to you. I wouldn't ask this of a stranger otherwise. They're watching me." My gaze snapped back to the rearview mirror. The street was nearly empty. A couple of headlights in the distance, maybe a block or two behind us. Just regular traffic. But then, as I pulled away from the curb and checked my side mirror, I saw it. A dark sedan, nondescript, a model designed to blend in, had been sitting stationary on the opposite side of the street 50 yards down. As my wheels moved, the sedan's lights flashed on. It wasn't the turn-on that got me, it was the timing, the immediate turn-on. It moved without hesitation, smoothly pulling into the lane behind us. Too fast, too deliberate. It settled back 2 car lengths, keeping a steady, unwavering distance. My heart gave a heavy thump against my ribs, a sudden, cold realization washing over me. This wasn't a prank. This was real. The fear on her face, the desperate, outlandish request, it all clicked into place. The details of the lie, Robert and Eleanor, structural engineer, they were meant to sound utterly mundane, boring even, to a casual eavesdropper. "Okay," I said, the word a gravelly sound in the quiet car. "Robert and Eleanor, structural engineer. Where exactly are we going, Eleanor?" I used the false name, testing the sound of it, committing to the role instantly. There was no going back now. My decades of silent observation had just ended. I was in the play. A wave of relief, so powerful it was almost physically palpable, washed over her. She slumped back into the leather seat, closing her eyes for a brief, shuddering second. When she opened them, the raw terror was still there, but it was now laced with a steely resolve. "Keep driving straight until I tell you to turn. And Arthur, or Robert," she corrected herself, her lips twisting into a faint, weak smile. "Tell me about your day. Talk to me like we've been married for 20 years. Complain about the construction site. Complain about the foreman, Gary. Say he's driving you crazy. Make it sound normal." I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white against the black plastic. Married for 20 years. The implication was clear. She needed the intimacy of our conversation to be natural, to be overheard, to be convincing. The sedan was still there, a patient, dark shadow in my rearview mirror. It hadn't changed its pace, hadn't sped up, hadn't dropped back. It was following. It was a quiet, relentless presence that instantly ratcheted up the tension in the cab by a factor of 10. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to relax my shoulders. I was a driver. I was a ghost. I could do this. I had to. The old instincts, honed by years of navigating chaotic city streets and drunk passengers, kicked in. I had to become Robert the structural engineer, a man bored with his job and his wife, driving home from a late necessary function. The absurdity of the situation was quickly giving way to a visceral, survival-based anxiety. The fear was spreading from her side of the car to mine, a contagious, chilling fever. "That Gary," I began, my voice settling into a familiar low grumble, the kind I used to share with my own wife, Agnes, 40 years ago. "He's running me ragged. Says the rebar's wrong on the northwest section, 3rd floor. It's not wrong, Eleanor. He just can't read a blueprint. You know how he is. Thinks he knows everything because his dad was a big shot contractor. 20 years, and I'm still dealing with this idiot." I looked briefly in the mirror and met her gaze. My heart was pounding, but I kept my tone flat, annoyed, husband-like. She didn't miss a beat. "Robert, you shouldn't let him get to you. You're the best engineer on that site, you know that. Just finish the pour, get the inspection done, and forget about Gary for the weekend. I already told you, the senator's wife is hosting that charity luncheon on Saturday, and I need you to at least pretend to be interested in the foundation drawings I showed you." She touched my shoulder lightly, a proprietary, almost intimate gesture that sent a jolt of panic and adrenaline through me. It was too real, too perfect, it was terrifying. The casual mention of the senator's wife, the professional jargon, the physical touch, it was all designed to paint a flawless picture of a wealthy, secure life. And the car was still there. We were performers on a deadly stage, and the dark sedan was the critic. The pressure of maintaining this charade while simultaneously navigating the streets and feeling the icy grip of that following car was almost overwhelming. I realized with a chilling clarity that this wasn't just about her escaping someone. This was about convincing them that she wasn't alone, that she wasn't vulnerable, that she had a life, a husband, and a story ready to be checked and verified. This was about creating a wall of normalcy strong enough to deter a predator, and I was the cornerstone of that wall. The city lights began to thin out as we approached the interstate entrance, a long, dark stretch of road ahead of us. The suspense was tightening, coiling in the pit of my stomach, accelerating along with the car. We were moving into the darkness, and I knew instinctively that the game was just beginning. The question was, what was the driver of that sedan planning to do once we were truly alone? The fear was growing, but so was a strange sense of protective duty, an unexpected connection to the desperate woman I now called my wife. Merging onto the interstate was an act of commitment. There were no more bar lights or casual pedestrians, just the absolute darkness of the asphalt, cut only by the white lines of the road. The highway is an artery of speed, a place where hesitation is fatal, and I couldn't afford to hesitate. I had to be Robert, the structural engineer, his head full of rebar and garries, and not Arthur, the taxi driver with his heart lodged in his throat. The dark sedan followed us immediately, transitioning onto the interstate right behind us, maintaining that exact same distance, the persistent shadow in my rearview mirror. The car wasn't even attempting a disguise, and that was the most terrifying part. The driver wasn't playing hide and seek. He was simply waiting for the right moment, or perhaps waiting to see if our performance of normality would crack. "You haven't said a word, Robert. What is wrong?" Eleanor, or Eleanor as I now called her, whispered, her voice firmer now, forced into an act. She picked up her phone, not to dial, but just holding it, lightly illuminating her own face, maybe so the car behind could get a view. A risky move, but one that sold the scene of a bored wife checking social media. "What is wrong?" I countered, infusing my voice with a mixture of familiar weariness and frustration. "What's wrong is we're heading to the senator's house and I have another week of work to fix Gary's mess. Plus, your mother called. She said you didn't return her call." I pushed further, improvising based on what I knew about marital dynamics. Mundane issues, old irritations, boredom. It was an emotional trigger for me, pulling up the memory of Agnes, and it worked on Eleanor. Her eyes widened for a moment, surprised by the detail about the mother, but she recovered with impressive speed. "My mother always calls at the wrong time," she sighed, sounding perfectly exasperated. "I already told her that if the cement company's stock drops another point, I'm taking her off the consulting payroll. She needs to understand that I have a business to manage, not just her gardening problems. You, as an engineer, should support her a little more." I was impressed. She wasn't just acting. She was building a backstory, constructing an entire life with every sentence, a scenario of wealth and responsibility that would make any pursuer think twice before interfering. This was the level of her desperation, and the sedan was still right there. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles white against the black plastic. The adrenaline was no longer a paralyzing fear, but the cold, focused energy of necessity. We had to accelerate the story. We had to take the next step in our fake relationship to raise the risk for the car behind us. "I'm tired of you, Eleanor. Tired of your meetings and your charity luncheons. Tired of pretending I care about this cement business. I am an engineer, and all I want is to build bridges and buildings that stand up, not talk about stock market shares." The silence after my words was deafening. It was a potent emotional trigger, marital conflict. It was the sound of a breakdown in superficial normalcy, the kind of explosion ordinary people have in their cars after a long day. It felt real. The car behind us flashed its lights briefly, perhaps a quick break, as if the driver had been startled by the intensity. She hesitated. Her plan was normalcy, but I had introduced discord, a different kind of normalcy. For a moment I thought I'd gone too far, that she would be offended, but then she let out a low, bitter laugh. "Bridges and buildings. Robert, you are so predictable. You stand still while I'm trying to ensure you have a decent retirement fund. Do you think I like going to these dinners? I do this for us." She reached out again and squeezed my arm. It wasn't a touch of affection, but a grip, a signal that she was fully invested in my risky move. The forced intimacy, the exposed vulnerability, ratcheted up my responsibility. "Take the next exit, Arthur. Robert. I want you to stop at a gas station. I need a coffee." She said the last part louder, her voice slightly strained, as if trying to convince herself. "A coffee? Now?" "Eleanor, it's late. And the senator's house is only 10 minutes away, I protested, the natural objection of an annoyed husband. But my heart was saying, good idea. Unexpected action. The sedan behind us slowed slightly, hesitating. Changing course, getting off the interstate, was the first major variation in the pattern. It was the bait. I took the emergency exit. The tires roared over the rumble strips, and the sedan followed us without fail. But now it was closer. We were on a narrow, illuminated ramp, and the car behind us could no longer afford to keep a friendly distance. "What are you doing? Why are we at the station?" I spoke low, just for her to hear, the disguise dropping for a second. "We need witnesses. I don't care who, just a cashier or a truck driver. If the car behind us sees we're stopping and interacting with other people, they might back off. The chase on the highway is discreet. The chase at a gas station is overt," she replied, her breathing quick but logical. I pulled up to the pump furthest from the station, next to an 18-wheeler. I turned off the car, the quiet descending upon us like a heavy shroud. It was the first time we had stopped since the game began. "Stay in the car, Eleanor," I said, the husband authority returning. "I'll get your coffee." "No, you don't understand," she said, her hand grabbing my wrist with surprising strength. The emotional trigger shifted from marital irritation to pure terror. "They don't want you. They want me. If I stay here alone, they have certainty. If we both act like we're the target, maybe they'll hesitate." I looked at the rearview mirror. The sedan stopped right at the entrance of the station, poorly parked. Its headlights pointed directly at my car. They weren't leaving. They were watching, waiting for her to get out, waiting for the vulnerability to appear. Time was running out, and the pressure was overwhelming. "Fine," I said, opening my door. "We're going to be a couple arguing at a gas station. Don't look at them. Don't make eye contact. Grab a soda, I'll get the coffee, and act angry." Very angry. We both got out. She from the passenger side, I from the driver's side, and we started walking toward the convenience store door, less than 10 yards away. But each step felt like a mile. I could feel the eyes of the sedan's driver burning into the back of my neck. The distance had closed. The risk had climbed vertically. "I told you it was too cold for that cardigan, Eleanor. Now you'll catch a cold, and I'll have to take care of you all week," I complained loudly, my voice loud enough to be heard by anyone at the pumps. She gave my arm a theatrical slap. "Don't be ridiculous, Robert. I'm fine. And stop complaining. You're acting like Gary." At that moment, a burly truck driver who was fueling up near us looked up. A witness. A small relief. But the sedan, in a quick and brutal motion, started up again and began moving slowly toward us, crawling like a shark smelling blood in the water. They were no longer content to just observe. They were going to act. The fear turned into absolute terror, because we knew we had failed to deter the predator. The gas station, which was supposed to be a safe harbor, was becoming our trap. The crunch of our feet on the gravel outside the convenience store was the only sound besides the distant hiss of the fuel pump. We walked side by side, still arguing, still pretending, but the charade had lost its lightness. It was a shield now, heavy and fragile. The dark sedan was creeping forward, its headlights cutting through the dim lot like predatory eyes. It wasn't driving toward a pump. It was angling to block our path back to my car. We had mere seconds. "You see that, Robert?" she hissed, barely moving her lips, her eyes fixed straight ahead. "They're not stopping. We're out of time." I didn't need to look. The chill running down my spine confirmed it. The sense of exposure was total. The presence of the burly trucker, our supposed witness, suddenly felt insufficient. He was busy with his diesel pump and his phone, oblivious to the silent, deadly drama unfolding 10 feet away. "Get the coffee. Get the soda. Now. And don't run," I commanded. My voice strained, fighting to keep the husband tone of annoyed urgency instead of sheer terror. We reached the sliding glass doors, and the momentary refuge of the brightly lit, artificial air of the convenience store felt like a blessing. As soon as the doors whooshed shut behind us, Eleanor grabbed my arm again, dragging me toward the back aisle, away from the cashier and the windows overlooking the lot. The movement was sharp, desperate. "Listen to me, Arthur. They know the apartment building where I was staying. They know my routine. They're not going to stop following us until we shake them or they catch me," she whispered, her breath ragged. "I didn't call the police because they might be watching my calls. Or worse, they might be the ones who sent this car." That hit me hard. A conspiracy? Police involvement? This wasn't a domestic dispute gone wrong or a simple mugging. This was high-level, organized menace. The stakes had just soared past a simple driver's detour. I had stepped into a viper's nest. My role as Robert the structural engineer, built on flimsy lies about rebar and cashing out on cement stocks, suddenly felt laughably inadequate. "Who are they, Eleanor? You need to tell me. I can't help you if I don't know who we're fighting," I urged, my eyes flicking nervously toward the front door. I could see the reflection of the sedan's headlights through the glass. It had stopped right by the exit. A clear blockade. "It doesn't matter," she said, her voice shaking but her logic intact. "We're going to buy what we need, and then we're leaving through the back. Is there a back exit?" I scanned the layout quickly. The rows of snacks, the refrigerator units, the single counter near the front door. Usually for deliveries, but it's probably alarmed or locked. We risk it. "There's no other way," she said, already moving down the drink aisle, grabbing a generic soda bottle and a water. "Here, you take this. Now, coffee." I walked over to the coffee station, my heart hammering a furious rhythm against my ribs. I poured the coffee, my hand shaking slightly, making a small spill on the stainless steel counter. I wiped it away quickly, forcing my movements to be deliberate, normal. A couple arguing about their late-night stop. The cashier, a young man staring listlessly at his phone, didn't even look up as we approached the counter. Our two items, coffee and soda, felt like props in a deadly play. "Eleanor, are you sure about this?" I mumbled, leaning close to her, maintaining the facade of a frustrated husband. "We have to be faster than they expect. We need a decoy," she murmured back. As the cashier scanned the items, Eleanor did something entirely unexpected. She raised her voice, not in anger, but in a sudden sharp cry of distress. "My bag! Robert, my purse is gone. I must have left it in the car." The cashier finally looked up, annoyance replacing boredom. "Ma'am, you need to pay for those." I know. It's in the car, honey. Run and get it, please. I'm feeling faint. I haven't eaten all day. Hurry, before someone sees it," she pleaded, her voice cracking with genuine panic mixed with theatrical urgency. She didn't look at me, but her eyes darted toward the rear of the store, toward the faint sign marked "Employees Only." The ploy was brilliant. It provided a perfect excuse for me to break away, to return to the car while she remained inside, holding the cashier's attention. But it was a huge emotional trigger. The separation, the vulnerability. She was sacrificing herself as the bait. "Damn it, Eleanor. You do this every time," I grumbled, slamming the dollar I'd pulled out of my wallet onto the counter, covering the exact cost of the coffee and the soda. I gave the cashier a look of strained marital suffering. "I'll be right back." I turned and rushed out of the store, the automatic doors sliding open with a rush of stale air. I didn't look at the sedan. I didn't look at the trucker. I ran straight to my car, fumbling with the keys, my mind racing. I was supposed to be getting her purse, a non-existent item. My real mission was to execute the decoy plan. I jumped into the driver's seat and looked in the mirror. The sedan was slowly inching forward, its passenger door opening a fraction. They were going to grab her. Adrenaline surged, clearing my fear. I had to create a distraction, a large one. I slammed the car into reverse and spun the wheel hard, peeling out of the parking spot. I didn't drive toward the exit. Instead, I accelerated across the lot directly toward the large semi-truck, my headlights flashing, horn blaring maniacally. I screeched to a halt just inches from the truck's rear tires. The sheer noise and the reckless maneuver shattered the quiet of the night. The startled trucker shouted something unintelligible, jumping away from the pump. The driver of the sedan, clearly expecting me to flee, was forced to slam on the brakes to avoid hitting the back of my car as I blocked the main aisle. The momentum of the pursuit was broken. Chaos had replaced the quiet tension. This was the opening. I didn't wait. I didn't need a purse. I just needed the keys. I locked the car and ran back toward the convenience store, ignoring the furious shouts of the truck driver. I could see Eleanor standing by the counter, talking urgently to the cashier, pointing toward my car. She was still holding the line. I burst back into the store. "The keys!" I yelled, putting my own key in my pocket. "I lost the keys, Eleanor. The spare is in the trunk. We need to go." "The back door! Now!" she whispered fiercely. We dashed past the puzzled cashier. Behind the last aisle, there was a heavy steel door marked "Emergency Exit Only." A red alarm box was mounted above it. It was our only option. I grabbed the crash bar. My hand was slick with sweat, but my mind was laser-focused. I didn't care about the alarm. I just cared about the ticking clock. The sound of a car door slamming outside confirmed that the pursuers were now out of their vehicle. They were coming for the store. The hunt was turning violent. The decision was cold, fast, and final. I shoved the bar and the alarm screamed to life. The moment the alarm shrieked, it was like striking a match in a room full of gasoline. It was a raw, aggressive sound demanding attention. We exploded out the back door, leaving the comfort of the light for the suffocating darkness of the alley behind the convenience store. The air here was thick with the smell of old grease and spilled refuse. My lungs burned. I hadn't run like that in 20 years. Eleanor, despite her initial appearance of fragility, moved with a desperate, surprising agility. She didn't hesitate. She knew exactly where she was going. "This way! The storm drains run into the wooded area," she gasped, her voice tight with adrenaline. We scrambled over a low cinder block wall, my body protesting with every strained muscle. The sounds of the pursuit were immediate. Shouting from the front of the store, the frantic barking of the alarm, and the faint, unmistakable sound of pounding feet hitting the asphalt. They had reacted faster than I anticipated. They weren't letting us go. We plunged into the dense, dark scrubland bordering the back of the lot. The ground was uneven, covered in thorny brush and loose dirt. We were moving blind, guided only by the distant glow of the streetlights and Eleanor's desperate sense of direction. The fear was no longer a cold knot. It was a roaring fire, fueling every frantic step. We stopped, finally, behind a massive, thorny bush that smelled faintly of pine and damp earth. I dropped to my knees, struggling to catch my breath, my chest heaving. Eleanor crouched beside me, her own breathing ragged, her eyes wide, scanning the shadows. "They'll circle back. They know we can't go far on foot," she whispered, her voice low and tight. "We have to get back to the car. We have to. The car is blocked, and they know we were running away from them, not just going after a purse," I retorted, the remnants of my Robert persona completely dissolving under the weight of the reality. "Who are they, Eleanor? You have to tell me. We need to know the odds." She looked at me, and in the dim, faint light filtering through the trees, I saw the raw, exposed truth in her face. The pretense was over. The marriage was dead. Now, it was just two strangers bonded by a lethal chase. "My name is Anya," she finally confessed, the name sounding foreign, sharp, and real. "I wasn't at a client dinner. I was fleeing. I stole something. Something they desperately want back." "Stole what?" I demanded, the urgency in my voice mounting. Was it money? Jewelry? This was feeling more and more like a cheap thriller, but the fear was all too real. "It's not money, Arthur. It's information, highly classified, files on a transaction, a major deal involving political corruption and international funding. If those files go public, a lot of very powerful people go to prison. And these people, they don't use the law to solve their problems. They use muscle." The sudden rush of information was like a punch to the gut. International funding, political corruption. My God, I was just an old man trying to make a fare, and now I was an accessory to international espionage or something just as deadly. The sheer weight of the truth felt heavier than the fear itself. This was why she couldn't call the police. This was why the danger was so absolute. "And you think hiding behind a bush in a garbage alley is going to stop them?" I spat out, frustration overwhelming my fatigue. "No, but the noise, the alarm. They're looking for a quick, clean capture. The chaos of the truck and the alarm bought us 5 minutes, maybe 10. They'll be searching the immediate perimeter now. We need to loop around. We need to get back to the car, but from the opposite direction." Her composure, despite the revelation, was chilling. She was a professional in crisis, calculating the angles. I suddenly realized that the reason she had chosen my cab, an old man in a slightly battered car, was precisely because I was forgettable. I was the perfect anonymous shield. If we get back to the car, they'll just follow us again, Anya, until we run out of gas or luck, or they force us off the road, I argued, the logic of my decades on the road surfacing. We can't run. We have to disappear, she said, her voice dropping to a near-silent whisper, but the intensity in her eyes was like a physical command. Listen, the files are not on me. I sent them. They are currently on a server waiting for a final command, a signal, to be released to the press. They know I have the means to trigger the release. That's why they want me alive, but they also want me silenced. A kill switch, I murmured, recognizing the desperate strategy. Exactly. I need to get to a public place, use a secure Wi-Fi, and transmit a verification code. That's the real destination, not the senator's wife's house. That was just a generic rich person decoy. The real destination is a hotel with a secure, anonymous business center. But we can't just drive there. She looked up, her gaze fixed on the faint, dull glow of the parking lot lights through the trees. We need to leave the car here. We need to make them think we've run away on foot and are already blocks away, heading back into the city. But we're not. We're going to hide the car, then use the only other transportation available to us here. I followed her gaze. Beyond the lot, through the trees, I could see the rusted metal rails of a freight train track, unused for years, but still connecting this industrial edge of the city to the dense urban sprawl. The tracks? I asked, skeptical. It'll take hours to walk back. Not walk, the train. There's a cargo hub half a mile down. There's always an outbound train getting ready to move around this time. We need to hitch a ride in a boxcar. If we disappear onto a freight train heading east or west, they will never find us in time. They'll be looking for a car on the highway, not two hobos on a rail car. It's insane, Arthur. But it's our only chance to disappear before dawn. Her plan was utterly mad, reckless, and brilliant. It was a massive emotional leap, from the safety of a taxi to becoming fugitives riding the rails. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with a potent cocktail of adrenaline and grim determination. I was 70 years old, and I was about to jump a freight train with a woman who held the secrets of powerful, murderous people. A low, guttural shout echoed faintly from the direction of the service station. They were closing in. "The keys," I said, getting to my feet, my muscles screaming in protest. "We need to drive the car deep into those storage yards behind the tracks. Hide it well. Then, the tracks." "Let's go, Robert," she whispered, using the fake name one last time, a final nod to our dead charade. We started moving, keeping low, sprinting parallel to the service road, heading toward the darkest, most neglected area of the industrial zone. The silence of the night was broken only by the frantic beat of my own heart, now fully engaged in the race for survival. We moved through the thick, moonless dark that clung to the industrial zone, a place of barbed wire, rusting containers, and unforgiving shadows. The stench of oil and decay was sharp in the air, a stark contrast to the clean leather of my taxi. My legs ached, my breath was ragged, but the cold dread of the pursuers kept me moving. They were smart. They'd realize our maneuver at the gas station was a diversion soon enough. We reached the back edge of the storage yards, a chaotic graveyard of unused machinery and stacked wooden pallets. I found a gap in the rusted chain-link fence, the kind of weakness only an old hand knows to look for. "The car," I managed, pointing to a narrow, overgrown access road that led deep into the yard. "Drive it in there. Deep. Smash the lights. Make it look abandoned for a week." Anya, who was surprisingly calm now that the decision was made, nodded. She took the keys from my shaking hand. "Stay here, Arthur. If they see two people, they'll know we're still moving together. If they see one old man driving a car into a ditch, they might think you're just some panicked witness trying to ditch the evidence." The emotional trigger here was the trust she placed in me, the fragile life and death trust of a fugitive handing over the getaway vehicle. It was a profound shift from the Robert and Eleanor lie. I watched her go, a small dark silhouette disappearing into the gloom. the sound of my engine starting up, strained and sputtering, echoing in the quiet lot. The thought of being left behind, utterly exposed, made my stomach clench, but I waited. A moment later, the sound of the engine was replaced by a sharp, metallic crunch, followed by silence. She was thorough. She reappeared, moving quickly but carefully, her cardigan snagged and torn. "It's done," hidden near the scrap metal press. "Looks like it's been there since Tuesday." "Good," I rasped. "Now, the tracks." We followed a faint dirt path that ran parallel to the tracks. The air began to vibrate with a new sound. The low, heavy rumble of a massive locomotive. Hope, cold and sharp, pierced the terror. "There! That's the engine!" Anya pointed to a massive, low shape several hundred yards away. A string of boxcars stood stationary, waiting to be coupled. It was the cargo hub she spoke of, our target. As we sprinted along the track ballast, uneven, ankle-breaking terrain, I suddenly remembered my taxi license and my wallet. My whole life was in that abandoned car, and now I was an accomplice. The realization was a devastating emotional blow. There was no going back to Arthur the taxi driver. I was Arthur the fugitive. "I need to know what happens if they catch you," I asked, the words forced out between desperate breaths. "Will they stop at you? Or will they come after the structural engineer too?" Anya slowed her pace, pulling me toward the dark space beneath a stationary tanker car. We paused, hidden by the massive wheels. The sound of the locomotive was louder now, a grinding, hissing giant coming to life. "They will come after you, Arthur," she said, her voice devoid of emotion, a simple, factual statement. "They already know you acted to protect me. You are a loose end. If I'm captured, you'll be hunted down to ensure you can't testify about the night. If I die, the files are released. That's the only leverage I have." The finality of her words was a gut punch. It wasn't just my life at risk, it was my freedom. I was fully invested, not by choice but by circumstance and her confession. The fear accelerated into a white-hot resolve. I couldn't afford to be caught. "Tell me exactly what I need to do if we get separated. I need the code. I need to know where this server is," I demanded, ignoring the pain in my chest. Anya hesitated, looking deep into my eyes in the darkness, assessing me one last time. It was the ultimate test of trust. "There's no server location you need to know. That's too risky. The key is in the lock. If we get separated, and I don't contact you within 6 hours, you need to go to a library, a coffee shop, any public Wi-Fi spot. You need to open a secure link that I sent to the notes section of your taxi app device. I did it when I was faking looking for her purse at the gas station. It's encrypted. The code is..." She stopped, her head snapping up. We both heard it. Not the distant shouts this time, but a closer, more chilling sound. The careful, methodical crunch of heavy boots on the gravel of the access road, exactly where my car was hidden. They were there. They were searching. They hadn't fallen for the distraction for long. "They're too close. We have to move now," I whispered, scrambling out from under the tanker car. The locomotive engine gave a sudden, sharp blast of steam and a loud, metallic clanking, the sound of the couplings engaging. The train was about to move. We had maybe a minute. "The code, Anya," I urged, pushing her ahead of me toward the line of boxcars. "It's my grandmother's birthday, day, month, year, 03/11/1939. It's written in the file," she yelled over the mounting noise of the train. We ran alongside the moving train, a gigantic dark behemoth slowly picking up speed. The opportunity was shrinking fast. The boxcars were tall, metal beasts, their ladders difficult to grab. "Grab the railing, I'll boost you up," I shouted. Anya didn't argue. She sprang, catching a railing on a passing boxcar. Her feet found the bottom rung of the ladder, and she climbed with surprising strength. "Arthur!" "Hurry!" she screamed. I knew this was my last chance. I pushed off the ground, leaping for the nearest ladder, grabbing a cold, rusty rung. My body slammed against the metal side of the car, and for a terrifying second, my grip slipped. I was dangling, my feet scraping the ground as the train accelerated, the gravel flying past my face. Anya, watching from the higher rung, reached down, her slender arm taut, and grabbed my wrist with a surprising iron grip. She didn't have the strength to pull me up, but the sheer emotional contact, The desperation and unity in that single touch was the anchor I needed. With a groan of pure effort, I managed to find the second rung with my foot and hauled myself onto the ladder, breathing hard, heart pounding like a drum. We clung there, two figures pressed against the side of the moving freight train, speeding away from the storage yard and the search party. The darkness swallowed the lights of the city. We were on the run, anonymous cargo, but as the train rounded a slow curve exposing the yard we had just left, I looked back, and I saw them. Two men standing by my abandoned taxi, silhouetted by the distant yard lights. They were looking directly at the moving train, and one of them raised a hand, pointing. He couldn't possibly have seen us. Not in the darkness, not from that distance. But the gesture was clear, deliberate. They hadn't missed the car. They had simply followed the rails. They knew the train was the only way out. We hadn't lost them. We had only changed the terrain of the chase. The fear returned, colder and sharper than before, because now I knew the pursuit was relentless, intelligent, and deeply committed to our capture. The rhythmic clang and shudder of the freight train was a cruel soundtrack to our escape. We had climbed into the relative safety of an empty boxcar, a steel cavern that smelled of sawdust and rust. The floor was hard, and the air was frigid, but we were moving. We were anonymous. For a few brief minutes, the paralyzing terror receded, replaced by sheer, bone-deep exhaustion. Anya sank onto the floor, pulling her legs tight to her chest. I sat opposite her, my breathing shallow, trying to control the tremor in my hands. The sight of the men pointing at the train back in the yard was burned into my mind. They weren't amateurs. They were tracking us like hounds. They knew, I whispered, my voice hoarse. They knew the train was the route. How? Anya closed her eyes for a moment, resting her head against the corrugated steel wall. When she spoke, her voice was barely audible above the relentless roar of the train. There's always a pattern, Arthur. They look for the illogical choice. They cover all routes. But knowing we're on the train doesn't mean they know which boxcar. It's like searching for a needle in a haystack moving at 50 miles an hour. She paused, shivering, and the raw, emotional exhaustion of her situation finally showed. We're heading toward the border now. That's where the main line goes. If we can get across, I can execute the release. The organization I worked for, they have interests in Mexico. If I'm in Mexico and the files are public, they won't risk the international incident of chasing an anonymous whistleblower across the border. Not immediately. I looked at the walls of the boxcar, the solid steel, a barrier against the world. It was a temporary tomb, a metallic womb carrying us to an uncertain fate. I felt a surge of strange paternal protectiveness for this young woman, this Eleanor, who had pulled me from my quiet life into this desperate gamble. You're talking about the border. That's hundreds of miles. And you said they won't stop chasing us, I countered, the logic of my age demanding practical answers. She looked at me, her eyes pleading. We have to trust the chaos. We have to trust that the sheer size of the train and the lack of communication will slow them down. But there is something else, something I didn't tell you. This was it, the final hidden piece of the puzzle, the ultimate emotional trigger, betrayal. When I left the office tonight, I didn't just take files. I took a tracking device, a tiny chip built into the base of the expensive fountain pen I carry. I needed them to know where I was initially going, to lead them on the wrong scent, the apartment, the dinner. I realized when we were in the gas station that I hadn't ditched the pen soon enough. I threw it out the back door just before you came back for the purse. My blood ran cold. The tracking device. They hadn't been following my driving. They had been following the technology. The subtle shift in her voice, the admission of a calculated risk that almost cost us everything, was a chilling reminder that she was a professional, trained in deception. You led them right to the gas station. You risked both our lives on a guess that they wouldn't grab you immediately, I stated, the anger rising in my throat. I know. It was reckless. I was panicked. But it's gone now. They only know we left the car at the yard, and they're likely trying to get ahead of the train by road now. We have a fighting chance, Arthur, because now we're invisible. As she finished speaking, a new sound cut through the train's roar, a sharp clang from the coupling of the next boxcar, followed by the sound of metal on metal scraping along the outside of our car. It wasn't the natural movement of the train. It was closer, higher. My eyes met Anya's. The realization was sickeningly immediate. They hadn't driven ahead. They had boarded the train itself, maybe a few cars back at the yard, using the initial slow speed to jump on, just as we had. They were systematically moving from car to car, checking. They were almost here. "They're on the roof! They're moving across the cars!" I shouted, adrenaline surging one last time, overpowering the exhaustion. "The floor hatch! Quick!" Anya scrambled toward a small, rusty metal plate on the floor of the boxcar, the kind used for access or drainage. She pulled at the handle with all her strength. The hatch gave way with a screech of rusted metal, revealing the fast-moving trackbed beneath us. It was a terrifying 20-foot drop onto the rails. "No! It's too dangerous." I grabbed her arm, fear gripping me. "It's the only way to lose them. They'll jump inside, see the empty car, and keep moving forward. We go down, underneath the car, and wait," she yelled back, her voice firm, with the desperate finality of a Hail Mary pass. There was no time for discussion. The heavy door of our boxcar rattled violently, and a sharp metallic sound indicated that they were prying it open. Anya pushed me toward the hole. "Go! I'll follow." With a last, agonizing groan, I forced my old body through the narrow opening, trusting her completely, falling onto the lower beam that ran beneath the car. The world was a blur of grinding steel and rapidly receding ties beneath my dangling feet. The danger was immense, but the sense of being hidden was a potent narcotic. A second later, Anya slid down beside me, her body pressed tight against mine for stability. We clung to the greasy underside of the moving boxcar, the screech of the wheels deafening, the cold wind whipping past us. The boxcar door above us slid open with a violent ka-chunk. We heard the heavy thud of boots landing inside the car, followed by a curse of frustration. "It's empty. Check the next one. Move," a voice barked, muffled but distinct. We held our breath, the train rattling furiously. The sound of the boots retreated, moving to the next car, then the next. We had won the moment. After what felt like an eternity, the immediate danger was gone. Anya squeezed my arm, a silent signal of relief and gratitude. We were clinging to the belly of a beast, but we were alive. "Arthur," she said, her voice strained by the wind, yet carrying a profound sincerity. "When the train slows down at the border checkpoint, we jump. Remember the code. SO 311 $1939. If I don't make it, you do the release. You're my last chance." I looked out at the fleeting darkness. I wasn't Robert the engineer. I wasn't just Arthur the driver. I was a crucial part of a global truth about to be exposed. The fear was still there, a constant companion, but it was now mixed with a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in 40 years. I was in the fight. I had been given a mission. I nodded, the cold steel beneath my hands providing an anchor. "I got it. Now let's see this through, Eleanor." I used the fake name one last time, a salute to the extraordinary ride that had changed everything. We held on, two desperate souls beneath a boxcar, speeding toward the border and the terrifying dawn.